first of all, the gear already introduces itself. You already geared it down, brand original. So before we even get into that, go ahead and introduce yourself to the masses and tell us who we're talking to. Who are we in the presence of right now?
I'm Jamila Just J. Wilkerson, CEO and founder of the Hype Magazine.
Yes. So now being the founder and being part of a brand that interviews others, does it ever feel different when you're the one being interviewed?
All the time. I don't like it.
You know, me neither. Me neither. So tell us about Hype Magazine. Tell us how you got started. Give us a little rundown for those who might have not heard of it or know the history of it.
Okay. Well, I started in 2002, just as like a little newsletter, just getting the word out. Going into the end of that year, beginning of 2003 is when we really started to go ahead and get ready for the print side of it. And it's been stressful ever since. But
now,
but Lil Jon and the East Side Boys was our first cover, so it was awesome,
yes,
to see how they've grown over the years.
That's what I was going to ask. I know it's a stressful platform. It's a stressful thing to run a magazine. I know, but tell me about some of the amazing interviews that you've had throughout the journey, some of your favorite features that you've done.
Oh man, we've done so many. Man, for me, I can't really say because I haven't done a lot of the interviews, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'll say them a few. I think one of the most interesting ones for me was George Clinton.
Okay.
That was awesome. Interviewing Lil Jon and the East Side Boys was dope in the beginning because, like I said, they were a new act coming out. Bone for sure, because that was one of my favorite groups back in the day. And just really sitting down with a lot of the people who are, I guess, regional crossing in. I've had the pleasure of locking in with so many of them. So I enjoy those interviews more than anything because you don't know anything about them for real,
Okay. Now, speaking of interviews, now being a platform that is there to share news and being able to, tell everybody who's the next fresh up, who's next up, what's going on. So it takes a lot of what are some of the qualities you would say it takes for someone in the magazine world to figure out who's next, who has flavor? What are some of the qualities that it's a must have in this magazine world?
You got to have your ears to the street, definitely. You got to be involved and personally invested with going to venues and seeking talent, just like an A&R of a label. You got to really be invested to find that real talent, that real raw talent. So if you're not willing to get out there and be in the streets and really look at who's moving and solidify that with a stamp from your publication, it's going to be kind of hard because you'll always be the second fiddle, getting the second hand of it and not the first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know with this digital world that we're in 2022, a lot of people are saying, magazines and books and stuff like that are getting obsolete. Do you feel like it's a dying art or do you feel like it's still very much alive?
Maybe the print side of it is, but content is always needed. Without content, there's no energy. Like if we didn't have a scandal or a story or something to get you excited every day, people wouldn't have nothing to talk about. There wouldn't be nothing on your timeline, and a lot of that energy and the content comes from magazines. So when they say, magazines are dinosaurs, is a thing of the past, and I'm like, well, the Will and Jada news that you guys are so crunk about, it came through a media outlet. If it wasn't a photographer there or a media outlet, there's to publicize it, you wouldn't know about it. The stuff that's going on with, the war, we wouldn't know about it if it wasn't for the press or the print publications or people writing about it. So content is still king. Doesn't matter how it's pushed out, whether it's digital, radio, television, content is still king, definitely.
Now, would you say media shapes the art world, or would you say it's just there to report what's going on with it? Would you say, well,
it definitely shapes it.
Go ahead.
No, I said it definitely shapes it.
Okay. Now, why A lot of artists, when they are in their journey and they're getting they're in the studio, they're making their songs, they're thinking of the DJs, they're thinking of like, why should an artist consider the blogs and the media and the magazines as part of an important part of their music journey?
At some point in the game, that was the only thing that mattered. I mean, to grace the covers of some of these magazines, or to have your ad in a double XL or something years ago before I even came around, it was like the thing. You go to the store, you open that magazine, and whatever's in it, you go buy it or you go listen to it. So that was like the guide, you know. So a lot of artists, I don't think that they realize how powerful media is. If we're out there, like, you have your demographic from the magazine standpoint, the Hype has his demographic, Making It Mag has their demographic, you know, the Source, and everybody has their own demographic. But if we push that button at one time to say this artist is hot, the world say, well, they must be hot because everybody's talking about them. Absolutely. And we have a reach. So artists, sometimes they say, well, I have this and I have that. Yeah, you have your fan base, but you don't have 15,000 subscribers. You don't have 500,000 subscribers that subscribe daily for that instant, you know, that instant activation of content. So I think sometimes the artists, they don't feel like they need a lot of things, but it's a wagon wheel. It's a turning thing here. You need all of these things to make it make sense, you know. So blogs, magazines, any content provider is very well, much so needed. You know, it's needed, definitely.
Okay. Now, tell me, as someone who works in media, someone who always has their hands in the news or what's going on, do you ever want to just shut it all off and be like, I don't want to know nothing?
Every day. Every day. Every day. And as I get older, it starts to become harder for me to want to get out and engage. You know, when I was young, it was like, I got to go to this club. I can do 5, 6 clubs in one night, turn up, be there, get news, go to sleep, wake up in the club, and keep it moving.
I remember that life.
I'm out of there, 8:30, I got to go.
Yes, I'm like that too. It's like, hey, listen, it's past my time for people. So how do you find the motivation and the juice to keep going and to keep it fresh and to keep it, that passion, you know, light up? How do you keep that going?
I think from my perspective, I guess I got to motivate myself.
Now, what I was asking was, with as time goes, as someone who also works in the magazine world, I know it gets old. As you see, you know, you go to different showcases, different conferences, and as time goes, you start meeting the same people. So how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep that passion going? How do you keep that motivation lit?
Like I was saying, you know, it's difficult sometimes, you know. Like today I woke up and I was like, I just want to lay in the bed. But I know I got probably 5,000 email submissions of people saying, when can I, how can I, you know, what time can we talk? When can we talk? So the motivation really just comes from you just getting that spark, maybe some sun, you know, it might be a call, you know, it just simple stuff now gets you motivated. Where, like I said, back in the day, I used to wake up motivated. Now I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this again today. But it's our job, you know, it's something that we committed to. So I just find the motivation just through, like I said, sunlight, actually. So as long as it's not raining, I'm good.
Yeah, and I've also realized that as it gets, even though the scenery sometimes gets old, but the music is always renewed. There's always someone new, and then you reach that one new artist or you discover one new person, and that spark comes back just like that. So tell me about Just Jay. Tell me, why do you do what you do? Why do you personally do what you do?
Man, it's so many things. Like when I started this magazine, I wouldn't classify myself as a bum, but I would classify myself as a, I don't know, a no, a no work zone. Like I would work my job for 6 months, 2, 3 jobs, and then I wouldn't want to work 6 months. Like, so getting into this thing, I call it, this massive thing, I honestly did it to make my mom happy because she wanted me to go to college. I'm like, I don't go to college. I ain't doing that. So I started this magazine and I was like, look, here I started a business, you know, pipe down, everything's good. And then when it started to grow, that's when I was like, well, wait a minute, I got to commit to this thing every day, all day. So it's like feeding a monster every day. You know what I'm saying? It's like feeding a monster every day. So I don't even know how to answer that. It's just, like I said, it's just massive. And it's sometimes overwhelming. So it's just, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, being an insider, because I consider myself almost like an insider, because we can get through some of the rooms that a lot of artists can't get through, a lot of the DJs can't get through. We actually get a behind the scenes perimeter view of everything that's going on. So what would you say is the key ingredient to success in this game from your perspective, from outside looking in?
Relationships and your personality. I mean, I definitely feel like relationships and your personality. For me, I built a lot of relationships with people, and based off of how I treat them and how they treat me, we have a long-term relationship, you know?
Okay. Guys.
They crazy. Go ahead. Go ahead, repeat it. I'll come back.
All right. No, so I wanted to I lost my train of thought on that one too, because they were just loud for no reason in the back. Guys.
Hey, this is the world of media right here.
Always something going on. Always something going on. Now, I know, like myself, I struggle a lot with loving to mind my business and knowing everything else. Whoa. Me being in the media world, I always feel like I truly enjoy minding my business and staying in my own personal bubble, but our job to being in everybody else's bubble. How do you find that balance, that line that you can draw and say, you know what, I don't care. Is there a certain subject that you're like, I'm not gonna dig into that. I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, well, we drew the line when I started. I decided I wasn't gonna be a gossip magazine. And I decided that I would create the value of the boundaries myself. So technically, if I'm interviewing you and you're over here doing drugs, that's on you to do the drugs. My job is to find out when, what, where, how. It's not my job to publicize you doing drugs. If I see you cheating, it's not my job to publicize I seen you cheating. It's my job to publicize the hot record, what you have going on in the community, you know. So it's a thin line, you know. So you have to put a stamp on what values your publication stands for.
Absolutely.
You know, so you have some magazines that come out and their niche is gossip. That's what they want to do. So, you know, dealing with that particular person, they're snooping, they're in it. They want to know. So, you know, really how you move, that's your presentation. So if you want Ford Ent to be represented as such, you never have to go that route. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Whatever integrity means to you, that's what it means.
I love that. I love that. I love that, because being a magazine, a lot of people try to box you in and dictate your boundaries for you. You know, they'll tell you certain stories. I personally have done certain interviews where I'll cut certain parts out because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to focus on that. I want to know what drives you. What is the new music? Right. What is the new, like, I care about the art. I don't so much care about digging into your lives. But which brings me to another point. Being in this world, this cancel culture, this culture where everything is out in the open and we know way more about our favorite artists than we used to. I mean, back in the day, people really had to dig for some of this stuff, whereas nowadays it all happens right in front of us on the timeline. We're seeing it. So do you ever get to a point where that integrity kind of like gets grayed out, or do you always say, nope, I'm gonna skip that, I'm not going that route, I'm not going that route? Is it hard to stick to your guns with that?
Oh yeah, it's definitely hard because we don't get the praise that some of the blogs that do the gossip get, So although we've been out here longer, a lot of them have mocked our style and our formula. We just don't get the praise because we don't get into it. You would think that people will respect that more, but they don't. They really want to see the sizzling hot gossip or the bullshit storylines. And,
exactly.
Fortunately, I can't get into that,
Exactly.
So we hold strong. Like our B.O.B. cover that we did back in, I think, 2014, maybe, because it was a newsstand issue. We talked about him being homeless and him living in, him camping and this and that. See, that story is priceless because that's him. So regardless on what's going on with him now or later or whatever, we still have a lot of personal information that he didn't put out to the other masses because they didn't care to ask him about that. You know what I'm saying?
They want to know the beef, they want to know the smoke. Whereas I feel like right. You said, you have to dictate what am I trying to get at? What am I trying to find out from you? What am I trying to learn from you? And I don't care if that artist has 6 baby mamas and he got 3 more on the way. That has no bearing on my life or what I can learn that would motivate me to go somewhere stronger.
Right. And if he wants to talk about his 6 mamas and his 3 children, he may have a great perspective on why, Mm-hmm. But I think the goal for the Hype magazine for me has been the perception. That's what Hype is. The company is how you perceive everything, Inc. So the perception of everything is what we're looking at. Like, what is your perception of your life and how you want to live it? Who am I to tell you that the way you want to live your life is wrong? Mm-hmm. So that's why they're like, Jay, you get along with everybody. Yes, because Jay minds her own shit. Like
her business.
I don't judge you for what you do, what you wear, how you act, how you smell, how you look. I don't judge none of that. I told someone earlier today, I make the choice on what friendship means to me based off of what I'm willing to give you as a friend. Whether or not I want to give you 20 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, or no time a day. I make that decision on how I want to pursue something with you. And then when I do, I have to give it my all if I'm calling you a friend. So that means now I got to accept good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, because if I didn't, now I'm not a friend. So my friendships are there. I have longevity because I don't judge a friend. I'm here to listen. I'm here to understand your way or your way of thinking. But honestly, we wouldn't be calling each other friends if we never committed to that in the beginning. And see, that's what the whole magazine world is about, is committing to what you do. And a lot of these different magazines, they stay strong to their niche. They haven't shifted. So, like I said, if you got the gossip blogs and they gossip, that person is going to tell your business. As a friend, know that this person runs a gossip blog and they're gossiping. But that should be okay with you because you knew what you was getting into, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I've found myself personally, it's been a slower growth for what I want or where I want to be with my platform because I've chosen to cover certain things and not cover certain things. And people send out, DMs of different stories. Hey, did you hear this? And did you hear that? But I always get in the mindset of I interview people for a living. It might come down to me being interviewed one day. And what questions do I want to be asked?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But that means that you're willing to sacrifice the fast growth, for the slow grind. So I tell people all the time, do you want the quick hustle? You got that quick money, you're popular, everybody knows you. Or the long haul. The long haul, I've taken that route. I could have got into the whole in crowd and been hanging up, turned up and acting like this, but it's meaningless when the people that you see doing that don't have a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
So,
So as a publication, as a magazine, what advice would you say in regards to growing in this industry that we've chosen, growing as a media partner, sticking to our guns and actually succeeding in what we got going on? Like, what would be the key motivational advice you would give?
Don't be scared. First of all, I'll give it to you as the publisher and founder of your magazine. Don't be scared to represent who you want to be. Like I used to. Like when I first started the magazine, you know, I'm a lesbian, but I didn't come out at first. I was like, oh, they might not feel this. Then I said, oh, let me do this because they might not feel this. Ah, well, they might not feel this. Well, who is they? You know, they is in our heads, right? We really hold ourselves back because we're so worried about the day factor, but the day factor is really our inner conscious messing with us anyway. Mm-hmm. So if you just go do what the hell you want to do, people will like it and they'll adapt to your way and they'll respect your way and they'll embrace it, you know? And that's what I'm starting to learn now at 43. So if you do anything, just stay true to what you want to do. Doesn't matter what your colleague thinks or somebody you hired, you should do this and you should do that. But when you decide you want to up and leave, I'm sitting here trying to still manifest your idea, and it didn't fit in my plan anyway.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So just do you.
I love that. And it's so crazy because like, I love how the universe works when you hear certain things because you've actually put that question out before, because I've actually asked that specific question with my brand, because growing the magazine, it got attached to my own personal brand. And I've always told myself, do I keep doing what I want to do? Or do I do what, because there's so many people, everybody has all the advice in the world. You should do a smaller version. You should do it this way. You should do it that way. And then you're like, but at the end of the day, when it's 2 a.m. and I'm staring at my computer, it's only yourself. I'm by myself. And when the money has to get spent, ain't nobody else pockets open.
You by yourself.
I'm by myself, but everybody has these advice. And I feel like back to a question that I asked earlier that I want to double back to. Being on the outside looking in regards to being the eyes and ears and the walls is how I see it. We're that fly on the wall. When people say if there was a fly on the wall, we're that fly on the wall. So we see so many artists grind it out and succeed in this game. So many people actually accomplish what they set out to be. So what would you say is the key component to that, to them manifesting something, visualizing something, and accomplishing that dream?
I mean, it will be the same with them. It's just staying focused on their vision. You know, especially working from an artist perspective, since I manage artists, my methods are unorthodox. So a lot of people, they'll decide, you know, after a while, I don't know, Jay gonna work with me, you know, because it's your business, it's your stuff, you know. So before I can work with you, you gotta learn your business first. If you don't even know how to upload your stuff, do your own publishing, well, you're my manager. Well, learn the business.
Not your baby.
Okay. My artist came over the other day and we were doing his Q&A. I was typing it for him, but it was my form of media training because he's horrible. So I said, so tell me about yourself. Man, you know, the album's just lit. That's all you're going to give? And you're ready to do interviews. You're ready to be a star. You're ready, but you don't have the proper tools to be ready. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of time with the artists, the reason why there's a disconnect with media, DJs, radio, or people in general when it comes to an artist and they're manifesting their vision, they manifested the vision, but they haven't structured out the strategy. So it never clicks. So they feel like that you as a media outlet should bring that inner voice out, but you should already have the inner voice. You should be coming to my damn outlet lit and ready. Instead, you're boring. Mm-hmm. And I have to figure out how to make you sound great. Then we don't get any credit when we make them sound wonderful and they sound horrible. And then they go and get a top 20 record. They don't come back and say, you know what? You made me look good.
Mm-mm. No, not at all.
You know?
Oh. I definitely, you know. I feel you. And it's like, it's a thankless job. I feel like we're in the background, but sometimes we're so much in the background that people don't realize the power and the actual work that we put behind the scene that is actually needed and warranted in this game. So before we close out, like, tell us what's next for Hype. Like, what's the new height that you're reaching for?
The new height that we're reaching for now, we're building out a collaborative partnership with a company called Over TV. We just did that. The main goal for us right now is to be a media house. A lot of the urban outlets, and I wouldn't even just say urban, I say urbanites, because urbanites to me are people who love the urban culture, whether they're white, Black, Iranian, Spanish, it doesn't matter. They've been left behind. You know, like you're starting your grind right now. You should be able to call in like we did years ago to like a bigger media house and say, hey, I need some support. I need to be a part of this house. And then we come and we help you formulate and structure it. You know, no one was there for me to actually structure out the magazine. I did a lot of it out of my head. I don't go to other magazine sites and stuff because I don't want to see their stuff. I like to be creative in my own way. But we need to build a hub of support networks for other media outlets. That's the goal for the Hype Magazine network as a whole, you know. So in the next 2 to 3 years, our goal is to help probably about 20 to 30 major outlets, you know. Well, they're not major now, but they will be, to kind of just get over that threshold, to get into the new way. Digital is king right now. A lot of these publications and outlets don't know how to convert to it, but I do. So really just helping as many people as possible. So like I said, the Hype Magazine will turn into more of a media house.
Okay, well, definitely save me a spot. I'm here with my notepad
Awesome.
and pen. Save me a spot. I'm there.
Yeah, because I don't think that people understand, like, I don't believe in competition because I'm not competing with anyone. You know, I compete with myself. So, you know, my only competitor is me. So like if I can help you build your brand out and get your magazine to the next level, then I'm not afraid of you being there next to me as a top dog. It doesn't bother me. You know, I've carved my space here. So I'm comfortable with who I am. So if we can just help as many outlets as possible become more powerful, and we get content providers like yourself that are offering the quality content and not so much on the other side to represent the cause and culture, I think that we would be better off, because now we're feeding this energy to the communities that they've been needing to hear for so many years. And it's been lost.
Absolutely.